Hey guys, how's it going? Brandon here and welcome back you guys to another Pokemon team builder for you guys, and today we are finishing off our remastered team builders, Generation 4, of course. This one's around Turtwig, Grottle and Torterra. Now before we get this video underway, of course, before any team builder we do, just to say that this is opinion based, massive disclaimer, if you want to change anything about the team, then go ahead and do so, and also things to remember and keep in mind, that if you haven't seen the other two team builders that we've done for Generation 4 so far, so the Infernape one and the Empoleon one, if there's a Pokemon that you like and it's not in this team, go look at those, see if it's in those. Also keep in mind that we've done this is usable across all three games, so if it's a version exclusive we don't use it, if it's a trade evolution we don't use it, so sort of stuff like that. So remember, move sets and move tutors and all sorts of different things change in Generation 4 across Diamond, Pearl and Platinum, so I really gave myself a limitation of what I could use and what's going to be viable and everything else, so just keep those things in mind when it comes to this team. I'm saying this because I will 100% admit this is probably the weakest team of all three, but it's still usable. There's still things in here that work and work really well, as you guys will see. Some fan favourites are in this one, but this is sort of the one that I sort of put together and was like, okay, this is sort of the right of the three, but it's still usable, it's still good. I'm not down in it anyway, but I can already tell that there's going to be some people that are just going to hate this, but hey ho, it's what I've put together, it's what I've come up with. Hopefully you like it, but without further ado, let's get into this. First up on the team, of course, you guys, is going to be our starter, which in this case is Torterra, probably the overlooked starter of all three of them. Let's be honest, the inferiorness that Infernape brings to Generation 4 is ridiculous, and the unique typing that Empoleon brings means that Torterra does really get overlooked, but it is in no means a bad Pokemon at all. It's not a terrible starter. There are a lot worse starters out there. I really like Torterra. I've always really liked Torterra. I like its design. I've always thought Turtle was really cute. The evolution stage I've always thought was very good design. Typing wise is very unique as well with the grass and ground typing. Makes Earthquake really fun to use on this mon. So in terms of the moveset, we've gone with Crunch, Wood Hammer, Earthquake, Stone Edge. You can change up Wood Hammer for something else physical if you don't like the recall damage that Wood Hammer brings. I know some people might not like it. If you want to run maybe a quiet, maybe not a quiet, but a minus speed natured one instead, and go with someone like Giga Drain or Energy Ball, and not minus that special attack, then that's going to work for you as well, because its speed is the thing that lets it down. It's the thing that people get put off about, is the fact that it's slow, and I feel like that happens with a lot of starters. If a starter is slow, it's very off-putting for a lot of people, but this thing shouldn't be overlooked. Its defenses are absolutely solid, base 95 HP, 85 special defense, and obviously that big base 105 physical defense means it's a wall. Look at the size of it, it's amazing. Base 109 physical attack with Adamant Nature means that all these moves are going to hit insanely hard. Like I said, Stab, Wood Hammer and Earthquake, both over, I think Wood Hammer is both over base 100 power. Earthquake I know is 100 base power. Stone Edge is base 100 or 120. I can't remember. Some of the things changes throughout, and I know Crunch is base 80 with a chance to even lower physical defense as well. So even then, you're going to be hitting extremely hard and being able to tank hits altogether. In a meta like Sun and Moon, when it was bulky offense, this thing would have been absolutely perfect because everything was slow but hit really hard and took things really well. It was just perfect meta for Torterra. In game, it does the job that it needs to do. It's a starter, it's going to get you through the game, it's going to be your main sort of companion throughout the game. It's fantastic. We stand Torterra, we love him. It's our first team member, of course, like I said, Torterra. On to Pokemon number 2 then, you guys, and it had to be in here somewhere. Arguably the favourite Route 1 bird, the early game bird out of every generation, Staraptor of course. We absolutely love this thing. As a community, it is known for being an absolute powerhouse. Early game, does really well. Obviously you don't want to use it in the first gym, but that's what you got your starter for. Normally paired with someone like Empoleon or Torterra because of the rock type reason. Absolutely walls through Gardenia in the second gym. Smashes through Maylene as well. In terms of the moveset, I've gone with Return, Fly, Steel Wing, U-Turn. You can obviously swap out U-Turn for close combat. I didn't see the need for close combat, but I can see why people would want to put it on there. You could possibly get rid of Steel Wing for it because you're hitting rock types, ice types. So maybe if you wanted to get rid of Steel Wing for close combat, they're sort of like the ones that I would intertwine. It's generally personal preference in that sense. I just didn't like the defense drops. You've already got quite low special defenses to begin with. So going up against an ice type, well, you wouldn't keep this thing in against an ice type anyway, but you sort of see my point. Adamant Nature, of course, on this thing, there's no need for us to go Jolly because it's already got base 100 speed, so just upping that base 120 attack already makes this thing hit super, super, super hard. Let's say base 85 HP is fine. It can take a physical attack quite well, considering it also runs Intimidate, so everything goes to -1. It's just those special attacks that you've got to be careful for, base 50. Don't ever run a special type move on this thing. It's a Staraptor. It's meant to get in people's faces and hurt them. But yeah, it's completely personal preference on what you want to do in terms of Steel Wing or Close Combat, like I said. Depending on my mood, I'd probably change back between the two. So hold your criticism right there. Like we said, it's probably the best early game bird out of every generation, so it had to make it into at least one of these team builders. It's fantastic, we love it. It's our second team member, it's Staraptor. On to Pokemon number 3 then, you guys, and another staple mon that I would consider coming out of Generation 4. We have Floatzel. Now, with the physical special split, it was mons like this that really come into their own in terms of like the physical water types that we can now have. It means Gyarados come into its own sort of category, Floatzel being, let's say, physical water types coming through, being able to use stab water type moves with the physical attacking nature. Base 105 physical attack, base 115 speed, adamant nature. This thing is overlooked for just exactly how hard this thing can hit. Stab waterfall, chance to flinch, really good. Crunch, again, chance to lower physical defense, which is really nice because then it means you hit even harder. Ice Fang for those grass types. Brick Break, just a bit of coverage. Like I said, we didn't put Close Combat on Staraptor, so Brick Break on Floatzel to go back and forth with the fighting type coverage and sort of on the team. You get Breezel, can't speak. You can get Breezel really early, just after Valerie Windworks, if my memory serves me correct. You get Floatzel level 26, so it's a fully evolved mon. Still quite early on in the game with base 105. Again, if you go for an adamant nature, it's going to hit really hard. Its level up moveset isn't awful either, so it does have those physical, good physical moves early on, things like Aqua Tail and things like that before you do get to Waterfall and stuff like that. So it's a really, really solid mon. I do think it will get overlooked in terms of team selection with the idea of HM slaves and stuff like that. I think Gyarados will be prioritized over this thing, but again, if you like having that flying type, if you like having the Drift Blim, the Staraptor, you don't want the dual typing with Gyarados and flying, Floatzel is definitely an option that you guys should consider and grab, just because of how hard it does hit, and just because it's overlooked, and it really is, because it does put in absolutely the finest of work. Really nice coverage of moves that it can get, and how early you can evolve it. Just be careful, defenses 55 and 50, it doesn't like to take a hit. You could run a bulk up set and try and be a bit more physically defensive with it. Base 85 HP is okay, but it's more the hyper offensive sort of mon that we're looking at with the base 105 attack, base 115 speed. But it's fantastic. Please give Floatzel a go if you haven't already. If you normally use Gyarados just because it's Gyarados, give Floatzel a go, see how you find it. But yeah, fantastic team member. It's our third team member. It is Floatzel. On to Pokemon number 4 then, you guys, and probably the first Pokemon on the team that's going to be controversial in the comments. What are you doing? What's going on? What is all this? I'm going to first off by saying that if you guys aren't in the Discord, definitely make sure that you should join the Discord. There is a link in the description to every video that we do. We have different sections for all the different games where you guys can discuss your own teams and these teams and everything else going on. And if you guys are in the Discord, you know that this was a discussion that was going on for a long time of what mons are viable in each game depending on version exclusives and different things like that. I like to have 3 physical attackers and 3 special attackers, and as you can tell from the first 3 mons, it's time to go with special attackers. But as you can see from the stats, Scum Tank is more of a physical attacker, but I've gone with a special one because actually its special move pool is really quite nice. This thing shouldn't be overlooked. Base 103 HP, its defenses are quite low, but those HPs narrow it out quite nicely. I've gone with a modest nature to boost up these special attacks. It's only weak to ground. It's what really makes this thing viable. If it had more weaknesses, I probably wouldn't put it anywhere near a team, but the fact it's only weak to ground, and that you have a Staraptor and a Floatzel and a Torterra, who either don't take any moves from ground because they're a flying type, or they're super effective against ground because they're grass and water, I thought it works actually quite well. Sludge Bomb, Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, Toxic. We don't have a fire type on the team. I'm going to open that right now. I didn't put Rapidash on any of the teams because I'm not doing that again. I'm not dealing with the backlash from you guys again. I'm just not dealing with it. Toxic, why not? Things on something like Cynthia's Milotic or something like that. Just really handy. Flamethrower, we don't have a fire type, so the fact this thing gets Flamethrower is awesome. Dark Pulse and Sludge Bomb, stab, hard-hitting moves. As you guys probably know, whenever you played through Sinnoh for the first time, Team Galactic, I can't remember if it's Mars or Saturn that has Scum Tank, but it's a problem. It hits hard. That Purugly and that Scum Tank, that combination on those 2 fights makes this thing really viable and actually really good. And I've used this thing competitively, as a special attacker competitively, and it still does the work. Like in game as well, you go with a modest nature to boost that up. different level caps. This thing will surprise you and actually do a lot more work than you realise. Give it a go if you haven't already. If you don't like the idea of this and you want to go with different special attackers, again, look at the other 2 team builders, look at the other options that are available. Again, I didn't want to duplicate any sort of mons, so I was very limited on what I could and couldn't use, but it's fine, it's really good, I enjoy it, it's our 4th team member, it's Scum Tank. On to Pokemon number 5, and I can already hear people smashing the hell out of their keyboards because once again in a Sinnoh team builder, Mr. Mime has appeared. And I say once again, we haven't used Mr. Mime before, but I remember vaguely, I can't remember if it was a Generation 4, but I know Mr. Gumriel used Mr. Mime before and he just got rinsed. And I think I agreed, and then I actually looked. Let me explain Mr. Mime for you guys. Okay, so I'm going through all these teams and I like to use free physical, free special. I've used up a lot of the normal mons that you guys would use throughout the games. I don't like to duplicate mons across the teams. One thing that I got slated for all those years ago, 5-6 years ago now, when the original team builders were going for it, that all the teams were the same. They had the same Pokemon. I used Manectric in every single Gen 3 team builder. I used Gardevoir in every blah 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 blah. So when I wanted to remake these, I didn't want to duplicate any single mons. I don't use trade evolutions. If you guys think Alakazam, or you can get an Alakazam, use an Alakazam. If you guys think Kadabra would be better than this thing, use a Kadabra. But for what I'm doing and for how I make these, Mr. Mime fit. And the reason that this thing was, I actually made this team beforehand and then had to redo my research. I originally had Frostlass on this team and then realised that it was a Platinum exclusive, and I got really upset because Frostlass fit in this team so well with synergy. So Mr. Mime come along. I didn't want something else weak to ground. The other things were like maybe a Luxray or a Raichu or something along those lines, but I really didn't want something else weak to ground, along with Scum Tank and the final team members also weak to ground. So I was like, something neutral, why not? And I was looking through and I saw Mr. Mime and I was just like, okay, let's have a look at this thing. Base 90 speed, awesome. It's quick enough that you don't need to run timid. Base 100 special attack, solid. It's the same as Mew. Mr. Mime does the same amount of damage from a Psychic than a Mew does. Well, not now, because in Generation 4 it does, because it's pure Psychic. Obviously in later generations it gets Fairy, so it does a little bit less, but just keep that in mind. So Psychic, stab. Grass Knot, why not? Just to hit other mons. Shadow Ball, cover your weaknesses. Hit other ghost types. Thunderbolt, we don't have an electric type on the team, why not be able to hit the water types? HP is pretty bad, I'm not going to lie, but base 120 special defense. It can take a special hit really well, actually, because it's prioritized on special defense. The way it evolves, you get a Mime Jr., and when it learns Mimic, it will evolve, so definitely make sure to teach your Mime Jr. Mimic, otherwise you need to go to the Move Relearner and all that sort of rubbish, and yeah. I can't remember if you can actually catch like a Mr. Mime by itself. My memory is very small on Generation 4. But yeah, I've actually been talking about this mod for nearly 3 minutes just because I knew that it was going to be the biggest controversial thing in this video. Give it a go. If you haven't already, give it a go. And when the new games come out as well, this thing's going to be added to Fairy typing. So it's actually going to be even better in the remakes of the games, because it's going to have Fairy typing as well, which means Cynthia's Garchomp, you actually could possibly use a Mr. Mime against it, which would be really funny. It probably wouldn't take an Earthquake, but you might be able to kill it quickly. I don't know, you know what I mean. But yeah, give Mr. Mime a go if you haven't. If you don't want to use it, I understand, trust me. But it fit the bill of what I needed it to do. It has really nice coverage, and it just does the job. It's our 5th team member, it's Mr. Mime. Alright then, you guys, so the last team member, we might as well end on a high. Out of all of the team builders that we've done, we might as well end on my favourite Generation 4 mon. My favourite Pokemon to come out with this generation is Lucario. Yeah, this thing, I love this thing. And Special Lucario is the most slept on mon. I think everyone likes to run the close combat, the bullet punch and all that sort of... No, run Special, it's so much better. Psychic, Aura Sphere, Flash Cannon, Dragon Pulse. With Modest Nature, again, base 90 speed is quick enough that you don't need to run timid. In my opinion, I think anything under base... Anything 80... I'd say 80 or 85 above, you can run like the Modest or the Adamant, just because of the way in-game IVs and level ups and EVs and all that sort of stuff works. Base 90 is quick enough that it's going to outspeed most things. Aura Sphere doesn't miss. It's great. Flash Cannon, hard-hitting move. Dragon Pulse, Dragon coverage, why not? Psychic, again, cover your weaknesses. It's weak to fighting. Hit the Psychic against things. I think it was a tutor move, but I wanted to run Calm Mind on Lucario, and I actually couldn't. But look at those stats. Like base 100 and physical attack. If you want to run a physical one if you want to run mixed, run mixed. 70s across the board, fine. Why not? Fine defenses. Again, it's a steel type, so it's got a lot of resistances. Again, like I said, I didn't want to add like Luxray or Raichu to the team because then my last 3 mons all would have been weak to Cynthia's Garchomp. And considering I had Frostlass before, I was like, oh, the Garchomp's not a problem. I feel like we over-exaggerate how difficult Cynthia's Garchomp is. I mean, I know it hits like a truck, but there are plenty of ways to deal with it. Especially since you have Intimidate Staraptor, which means you can switch out, do what you need to do, intimidate it a few times, and it's just crippled, and you can just whittle it down. Yeah, it's a fantastic Pokemon. I love Lucario. You get it in a really nice part of the game where it fits the last team member slot really well. You get the Rioli Egg from Riley just after Iron Island. I nearly said Mount Steel then for some reason. Iron Island, after you do all that stuff. So it's a really nice part of the game. Get them on, level it up via friendship, and then it evolves into Lucario. It's just fantastic. It's our final team member. It's my favourite Generation 4 Pokemon. I always will say that. It's Lucario. So there you have it, guys. That is our remastered team builder for Torterra. Let me quickly go through that team for you one more time. We have Torterra, Staraptor, Floatzel, Scum Tank, Mr. Mime, and Lucario. Now, of course, if you haven't already, check out the other 2 team builders that we have done on Sinnoh remastered. Of course, check out the old ones as well. Maybe there's some sparks in there that you like to. If you do like using Rapidash, then check out those teams because he's in 2 of them. And yeah, so just let me know what you think. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button down below for us. Show support towards the channel and the series. If you're new around here, click subscribe. 80% of my viewership isn't subscribed to the channel. You're not subscribed. Click that subscribe button, please. It does a hell of a lot for me and the community. And if you haven't already, join the Discord. Links are in the description. Everything you need is always in the description of a video. Any previous team builders, the new team builders, the schedule, our Discord, everything, that sort of stuff. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching, and your support on these recently has been absolutely fantastic. So I can't thank you guys enough for all your support recently. With that being said, you guys, I'm going to get out of here, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!